Hello everyone, this is Greg from Mystery Honey. Today I'm going to be putting Formic Pro on my colonies at my Quarantine Apiary. I'll also be going through a few of the hives as well, just to see if they're queenright, as I haven't had a chance to check this apiary yet. At this time of year, the main aim is to make sure that your colonies are queenright, make sure they've got some food, and to make sure that there's no disease in the comb. I'll be doing that check here. As this is my quarantine apiary, it is filled with mainly swarms, so this is the place that is most likely out of all of my apiaries to have some signs of disease. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's get cracking. So the main aim of a quarantine apiary, I'm going to stick this over here out of the way, is to make sure that any swarms that you collect are taken away from your healthy colonies that you do regular checks on, and you get them out of the way and you check them from a distance. Sometimes you can end up with some genetics in a swarm that are amazing, and sometimes they just flounder and die off. What you don't want is to infect any of your healthy colonies with any disease brought in from a swarm. Now, as I said before, with these colonies, I haven't actually checked them since the honey pull, so that was 3 weeks ago. So I don't know where I'm at with these colonies. If I remember rightly, one of these was queenless at the time of the honey pull, but I'll check and see if it's changed a bit now. So at this time of year, it's best if you're going to pull some frames to use your leverage on this part of the frame here, not the nubs, because they've usually properlized frames so well that if you put too much pressure on these nubs, they'll snap off. And I'm hoping that I won't show you an example of that now, because I don't have any spare frames on me. So that is a full frame of food from the looks of it. As you can see, that these guys are pretty prepped for winter. Now that is a central frame, so I would have expected some brood in the middle there. But yeah, this is absolutely jam-packed with food. There are some empty cells here, but I'm not seeing any eggs in them. So what do you do if your colony is queenless and it's this time of year? If you only have a couple of colonies, best thing to do is either buy a mated queen from a reputable breeder, or get a nucleus colony and combine it with the nucleus colony as well. You have more success from nucleus colonies than you do from bloody hell, than you do from just mated queens. So it's more than likely you'll get a better introduction with a nuke. If you've got lots of colonies like this, I would just combine it with a queenright colony. The influx of bees and the extra food, if there is any, will only make that colony much stronger. So if this one's queenless, I might just add it to a queenright hive if this one's queenright. What I don't want is multiple queenless colonies in an apiary. But at this stage of the year, I tend to just combine colonies. It's easier to shrink down colonies this time of year. You're not wanting to produce honey, so less colonies is actually just easier to winter with. So we've got some worker brood there, so that's good. Lots of eggs over here. Now, I did just see a bee with deformed wing virus, so that is a sign of varroa. Let's see if I can see it again, and I can't off the top of my head. No, so I can't see that right now. So never mind. But I did see one with deformed wings. Bees with deformed wings are a sign that there is a high varroa load. The load is so great that it's actually having an effect on the health of the bees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this colony with Formic Pro anyway. But that is a good indicator that I really do need to treat these guys. I can't just let them sit through at winter, otherwise they just probably won't survive. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to check the larvae. So if you look at there, you can see the larvae. They are segmented. You can see the segments in some of the larvae there, and none of them are twisted. The sun, when it's bright like this, is really good for getting in there. Now, this pattern isn't a brilliant pattern. It's good in the sense that it's in a circular shape, so that's good. But generally, you want to have capped in the middle, going around to the outside where there are larvae. Now, the reason it could be like this is because the capped ones are close to emerging. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to uncap one and just have a quick gander. Okay, so no, those are just larvae underneath there, still in the pupae stage. So that to me means that the laying pattern isn't so great on this one. There are lots of eggs along the outside there. See if I can show you them. Can you see the little grains of rice it looks like? But that is a healthy frame, and I think that queen will definitely make it through winter, so that's good. So what I need to do now, I've checked the food situation. They've got a lot of food. That brood box I've just taken off is very heavy. So I'm going to check another 2 frames, and then I will do the treatment and move on. Now, I mentioned in another video that I've used Apiary in the past, and it stopped me from being able to use those frames for honey. I mark all of my frames, so if you look there, what does it say? It says APV. So this is one of those frames that was in a brood box when I used Apiary. I'm very careful not to reuse these frames. If they've got honey in, I'll feed them off to the nukes. But if they've got brood in, it's generally fine. Just be very careful when using Apiary that you mark all of the frames that you use with it, because you don't want to be giving people, especially if it's just friends and family as well, you don't want to be giving them something that's contaminated with a miticide. Let's see how far out the brood goes. So at this time of year, you're expecting maybe 6 frames of brood. So if we count those, 1, 2, 3, they've probably got brood in. 4, 5, this had brood in. So look at 6. I'm probably reaching the end of the brood area. There's brood in there, as you can see. And on that side, the brood pattern is getting smaller. So the brood area is getting smaller. You can see that it's a smaller circle there. But to me, just looking in, so we're on quite a lot of frames here, brood-wise. So that's good. That's what we want. We want the queen to be continuing her laying. And we want all of this to be brood, or a lot of it to have brood in it. And that means that a lot of healthy winter bees will come out of it. So what I'm going to do now is I've had a look, and I'm happy that there's no disease in that brood. I'm happy that there's a laying queen in there. God knows where she is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the Formic Pro. Now this is a double brood configuration. There are 2 ways of using Formic Pro when it comes to hives. First of all, what you have to do is just open it up. Now the first method is a 20-day treatment, and the second method is a pretty simple 10-day treatment. So for the 20-day treatment, you just stick in 1 dead center of where the brood is, and then you place the other box on top, and then after 10 days you replace it with the other one, and that's how that one works. It's a slower release of the formic acid, and it still has a decent effect on the mite load. I personally like to try and get it out of the way ASAP, so what I've been doing is the 10-day method. I'm just getting rid of this burr comb here, because I don't want anything squishing the bees when the Formic Pro is added. Watch out, bees. Okay, so when you're doing the 10-day method like I'm doing, place one pad like that, so it's encompassing half the frames, and you place the other pad like that, so it's encompassing the other half of the frames. What you're doing there is that you're spreading that formic acid directly below. When you put the box on, it does it directly above, and it's hitting all of the varroa in this colony. You're getting the ones that are milling about, which are called phoretic mites, and you're getting the ones that are inside the cells as well. So that's why formic acid, or rather Formic Pro, is so good. So it attacks not just the mites that are wandering around, but also the mites that are inside the cells and protected from other miticides. Right, so I'm going to put this lid back on and close it up. Now, you want the bees to have some sort of ventilation. Now, I've got vented bottom boards, which does an okay job, but you want the entrance block to be out so they can vent that area as best they can. Bees don't particularly like the smell of the formic acid, so you may get them coming out and wafting and getting annoyed. Don't worry about that too much. It's only for the first few days when the formic acid does its initial bursts, and then for the following 7 days or so, it just finishes off its job. Right, next one. At this time of year, you don't really want to be going into colonies properly like I'm doing. The only reason I'm doing it is because I've not had a chance to do it since the honey pull, so. Right. To WD-40 some of these ratchet straps. Right, okay, so this goes down. So Formic Pro can be used on a single box and a double box. It doesn't matter if it's a super on top or another brood, that's fine. You can do it on multiple boxes as well, because the formic acid, the smell of it vents upwards, and the bees will try and fan it away, so it'll make its way around the inside. But what you don't want to do, so it doesn't have a maximum number of bees, but it does have a minimum. If you're only dealing with a half-filled box of bees, generally you want to only use half a dose of Formic Pro. If you have less than half a box full, so if you have less than 6 seams of bees, then I would probably look into doing another varroa treatment instead. Right, let's have a look. So they've done a pretty good job of fixing this frame up. I'm just having a look, seeing what the food situation's like. I'm going to feed these guys properly when it comes close to winter, so in October. It's currently the 17th of September today. Okay, so they've got a fair amount of food, as you can see. That's a pretty decent amount of food, and they've got several frames of the stuff as well. So I won't really need to fill these guys too much up when it comes to October. Right, just move that down here. All right. So again, I don't know where I'm at with this, so I'm going to knock these guys down with some smoke. I don't particularly care about finding the queen. So if I find the queen, that's awesome. I'll mark her. If I don't, I don't care. All I care about really is that there's some eggs and worker brood, because what I don't want is a queen's colony going into winter, because there's no way that they will survive. So we've got some worker brood right here. You can see. Quick disease check. The larvae look healthy, no twisted. They're all C-shaped, white, pearly white, and segmented. I'm getting smoked. Again, the pattern's not great, but that could just be the fact that she's laid a small amount when it was all the way out here a few weeks ago. She's laying a lot of eggs, so the majority of this frame is eggs around the outside here. She's doing a pretty good job, this queen. I'm not sure if she'll be on this frame because the eggs have fallen over. When an egg's first laid, it's upright, and then when it's a day or so old, it goes horizontal and lies at the bottom, flat. Now that's a good one. That's a good frame. Good frame of brood there. So we've got a good super of food, and we've got a good frame of brood. So that's pretty cool. I reckon that because these guys are right in the sun, so these guys get full sunlight. I reckon that these guys will probably continue to create brood until quite late on in the year. But they're doing great, so I'm quite happy with them. Yeah. I'm not seeing any deformed wing virus or anything like that on these guys, and the cell capping, so a way of telling that you've got varroas or high varroa load is that the cappings have little holes in them. This doesn't seem to have that. It's actually really hot today. I'm surprised because 2 days ago is when I filmed my inspection video, and it was hammering it down. I had to give up the inspections in the end because it was raining so hard. Madness. But yeah, these guys are doing great. I'm really happy with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them the Formic Pro. Now, there are some issues you can have from Formic Pro. Formic Pro. Formic Pro, because it's quite intense and it's quite strong, especially when you do the 2 pads like I do. If it's very hot, it's okay temperature now. If it's very hot, sometimes it can blast the bees so much that it kills some brood, and it will possibly cause them to supersede the queen. They're not quite sure why it supersedes the queen. Sorry, I just got a face full of formic acid then. They don't know if it's because the queen's pheromone smell is masked by the formic acid, because it smells like really strong salt and vinegar crisps. That's the best way to explain it. Yeah. Really does get in the back of your throat. So it could be to do with that. It masks the queen's scent, so they supersede her because they think she's old and frail and ill. Or it could be to do with the death of all the young larvae. They're not getting the young larvae pheromones like they want, or that they have in a healthy hive. So that's something that they've noted. It's something I've noted as well, but I have used this before now, earlier in the year, and it seemed to work fine. Now, we were having a colder spell than we are now. It was raining quite a lot, and it was barely 10-15 degrees during the day, and that was in like May and June when I did my initial experiment with Formic Pro. Whereas now it's probably about 20 odd degrees from what I can tell. I did have a thermometer here, but it's gone AWOL. Yeah, so it could have a different effect here just because it's in direct sunlight and it's getting all of the sun and heat from the sun. But we'll see anyway. Oh, I think it was this one that was actually queenless. It was Kate. So we'll have a look, see if there's a queen in here. As I said, it's been about 3 weeks, so if there's no queen in here, I'm just going to be combining it with another colony. I'm not going to be faffing around. Fair amount of bees. I'll do a quick food check. So look, this was doing quite well for food last time I checked. And it's still doing quite well for food. It's got a fair amount of food in there. It's got some capped, but some uncapped there. That's a healthy weight. I think it's mostly nectar. So there might be a nectar source nearby. That's full of nectar as well. Okay, so they found a nectar source somewhere, these guys. Not sure where, but it seems to be doing alright. I'm just having a little check, see if there's any eggs up here. Sometimes the queen moves up. No. Okay, that's fine. Right, let's take this off. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Get out of the way, you two. There we go. Let's lift this up. So these guys are really good at propolizing things down because that was really sticky. So that is some more food. See if I can see any eggs or anything. No fresh eggs yet. Just going to move this to the side down here just for a second. Give myself some more space. Whew. Again, this is full of nectar. That's fine. Still no eggs that I can see. Okay. Now we have eggs on this frame. So there must be a queen somewhere. Okay, that's good. So we've got eggs and we've got some larvae. So we've got some larvae here, we've got some eggs here. So that's good. Can't really show you because the sunlight is really strong at the moment. I'm not quite sure why. It's crazy the contrast between today and a few days ago. Right. So this was the frame that had the egg on. I can tell because I've got a green little dot right there. So that generally means that I put I found the queen cell on this frame. So she's laying up really well. It's a lovely brood pattern. That's what you want. A lovely circle, as I mentioned, starting from the center and working your way around. This queen's doing a good job. So this will be the daughter of Kate, who was here beforehand. Kate was a bit feisty, but she made a pretty good job of the season, if I remember right. I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest. Usually Kate does the best out of all of them for honey. But she's gone over the horizon somewhere probably, or maybe superseded, I'm not quite sure. Ooh. Yeah, but that's good. No disease yet. And I'll check one more frame just now that I've got into the brood area. Excuse me, love. Watch yourself. Yeah, that's a lovely frame of brood right in the centre there. Perfect. Yeah, so that's great. She's doing great. So I'm going to Formic Pro her. I can see that the next frame has even more brood on it. So she must have started a laying around here and has worked her way out this way. So that's cool. Right, watch yourself, girls. All the way. Ooh. Go on, budge. Budge out the way. For some reason, bees, when you create a small gap, they love to ram the head right into it. They have no self-preservation. I guess you have to be built that way if your main defense mechanism is to sting someone with your butt dagger. Anyway, right. Just that like that. I want to pull this down over here. Like that. There we go. Nice and tight. So that is really good. She's a healthy size as well. That's important. If they were only covering half the frames, then I would possibly fill a nuke with them instead. I'd transfer them into a nuke box just so they have less of a cavity to heat up and protect. But these guys are doing great. They're covering all of the frames. Got loads of brood coming up. And I'm going to blast them with some Formic Pro. I'm going to try my best not to inhale it this time because it made me feel a bit nauseous. Right, rip it. Again, you want to have it perpendicular to the frame. So the frame's going that way, you want to have it covering as many frames as possible. Come on, budge out the way. So the bees do not like the smell, as you can see from their reaction. You put it down and they just leg it. Don't worry about it too much though. It's for their own good. I'm going to open the entrance though. Let them vent it out. Put this box on top. Ooh, so I'd say that this one probably needs a bit of food. They're doing a good job with food in here, and it's clear they found a nectar source from somewhere. But just from how they seem to be going, I'd probably feed them if I can later on in the year, next month or so. Right, next two. I'm going to do this hive first. So this one was the mother of the middle colony that we have over there. She tried to swarm, so I did a split. Oops. So I did a split and I moved this colony over here, and she just kept making more and more honey. So she did really well for a split. Yeah, she did great. Oh, so what I'm going to do is now just check, make sure they've got some food. I can already see some comb in the middle there. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. So the frames with CC on, so these ones here, they are empty frames that I've used to create cut comb in the past. And I haven't put any foundation back into these. You can see that. You see that? Cut comb. So this is completely bee produce. There's no wires or anything like that. There was no foundation. The bees have just created this and they've started filling it with honey, which I think is quite impressive. They've done a good job there, honey-wise. I can already see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames at least, and there's some new comb here. Looks fit. So these guys might have found the nectar flow of Kate. Yeah, so that's fresh comb, especially on the outside, so you can see the difference there. So if you look at the colour difference here, it's a lot lighter in the centre and a lot lighter over here. That's because this here is newer comb that the bees have just produced. It goes darker because of the bees. They don't wipe the feet when they go out and come back in, so they just trek dirt all over the place. Oh. Right, I'm going to smoke them down a bit so I can get in. Right. So let's tell you what, let's just go from the centre, because I remember it being queenright last time. So I'm just going to venture into the middle so I can do a quick inspection. Just put that down. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, properly. There we go. So, we have brood. It's not a great brood pattern, but I'm going to look in the sun and see. Yeah, that's just a terrible brood pattern. What the hell's going on here? So we have some eggs. There's still some eggs in here, but there's not a lot. So it means the queen is still present. But it's not a particularly great pattern there. So we still have some brood, capped brood here, but it's not as much as I was expecting at this time of year. We've got a lot of larvae in the middle, so that's all right. So maybe I've just skipped or missed out on the frames of capped brood. But there's some uncapped brood there. They look healthy, C-shaped, pearly white. None are twisted. There's a lot more eggs on this frame, so that's good. I'm going to go the other direction and see if I can go a bit more into the centre of the colony. See if that makes a difference when it comes to capped brood. Because they're wanting to be making winter bees at this time, and there we go, we've got some capped brood there. That's looking healthy, that's good. Brood pattern's starting to look a bit crap, but that's okay because it's an old queen. This queen's 2 years old now. Next year I'll probably let them supersede, or I'll requeen them. But she's doing okay. Okay, right, that's me done. On the next frame I can see this frame here is also full of brood as well, so that's fine. Leave them to it. I don't want to do any damage to the actual queen, so just close this up and put the Formic Pro on. Nice and easy. So this time of year you don't need to go through all of the frames, you don't need to check for brood and stuff like that properly. As long as you see eggs, as long as you see healthy brood, that's all that matters. Generally you can kind of figure out whereabouts the brood area is up to. I'd suggest, like I've been doing, start at the centre and move your way outwards, and then generally if you mirror it on the other side, you can make an estimate of where the bees are at. So let's put that down on there. And there. Is there any? No, it's not. Some brace comb there, I'll get rid of that. Right, so that's that. I'm going to put the super back on. Whoa, that's going to be another 10 days. Again, take the entrance block out if you can. Where's my actual? I want to give the bees a lot of ventilation. So these Abello hives have these little polystyrene plugs that you can't see. I'll show you in a second what I mean. Right, that's that done. On to the next one. As a quick aside, these Abello hives have these polystyrene plugs in the roof and in the boxes, the little white rectangle there, and these can be taken out to be replaced with plastic vents that you can usually get with the hives. It takes a while to get out because these guys are properlised, these ones in, but that's another way of increasing some airflow. So when you add this Formic Pro, sometimes you can replace the roof with those venting holes as well, and it'll just let the bees have a nice ventilation system going on. Right. Okay, so this is the last one. This apiary, only got the 5. This again was another swarm, and it was doing really well. I left the super on for some reason. I think it's because it wasn't full, so I left that on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it on now. I'm going to prove to you that you can use Formic Pro with multiple boxes on top of the brood area. So let's take this lid off. And these bees are actually filling this box, so they're doing a great job. Oh, it's probably the strongest swarm that I've caught, really. Doing a great job. Now, they're not particularly nice, though. I do get stung from these guys quite a bit, so I'm going to get the smoker a bit closer. And hopefully it's not gone out. I don't think it has. Right. This is one out. But it looks like this box isn't being used properly. It's got a bit of honey in. You can see it there, but other than that, there's no nectar. So that's a really heavy frame of honey. So, but to have just one frame of honey for the whole box, I'll have a think about that one. Might have to take this box off and just leave it out so they can rob it. We'll see. Right, next box. So it's absolutely full of bees. That's well good. That's what we're wanting. Let's have a quick look in this box as well. Watch out. Like I said, if you're twisting, make sure you twist on the actual frame itself and not the lugs, because the lugs will snap off. Right. So this it has some brood on it. I'm just having a quick look before I show you. So this has got some brood along the outside, but the centre is quite empty. Okay, let's have a look at the one next door. The bees will leave me alone. So as you can see, the bees are starting to come out a bit from the top because they're not happy that I've opened them up. So this has got quite a lot of nectar in and honey. So there's honey here, you can see here, and there's an extra around here. There are a few cells of brood, but they look like they're very close to hatching. So, and that's a frame of brood there. So I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is just tapping them with my knuckle so they budge out of the way. But as you can see, there's a lovely brood pattern there. So this queen's quite good. I'm quite happy with her. I'm going to put this back. It's clear that they're starting to fill this brood box with honey. So that's good, really, because what I can do is, I'm not going to do it now, but later on in the year, instead of feeding this one here, because it's got a super on, it had a few frames that were completely empty. What I can do is take the super off this box, and the frames of honey from the super on this one, I'll transfer and swap out with the empty frames in that one. So it's quite good. I'm not going to do it now, though. I'm going to let the Formic treatment go on. It's just going to take a week to do. Well, 10 days. All right, on to the next box. As you can see, they're filling this box as well. This colony is mega. Oh, so, smoke away. Go away. Go on you go. Again, I don't really care about seeing the queen yet. I just want to see evidence that she's here. I found capped brood. I haven't found any eggs yet, so I'm going to go centre and see what I find. Budge up. Whoop. Yeah, so we've got some more brood here, and a lovely frame of brood here, the shape there. Right, so have a quick look, see if you can see any eggs and larvae. Yeah, no eggs there. I'm using the sunlight, so sorry that I'm taking it away from you guys to be able to see. Right, budge it over. Oh, there we go. Budge. Literally telling you guys to not use the lugs, and then I go and use the lugs. So I'm still not finding any eggs. Interesting. So the queen might still be in the box that's above. Look on the other side. This has got some brood on it, freshly emerging brood here. Right, usually that makes the queen come and lay, so let's try and get a good angle for the sunlight. No eggs there. And no eggs there. So something that could come about is that the queen sometimes goes on a brood break. Usually they wait until it's a bit colder than this, but this could be one of them. I'm going to keep checking though. What I might do is go in the box that's above this and have another in-depth check there. I want to make sure I see some eggs. So I'm not going to see eggs on this one because this is a pollen frame. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this across. So they've got capped brood that looks really healthy. It's a good pattern. So I'm just going to drop this in here. It's not the right place, but they're all thin frames down here, so they're not actually going to meet with each other. I'll slowly lower that. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just push these guys away. Get them airborne, that's fine. Those are not in the way. And then because they've come back, I'm going to have to lower it like that and then slowly drag it back to sort of bring the bees back. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to look in this box to see if I can find any eggs, because if I can't find any eggs in this one, then it could be a queenless colony, or they could have swarmed, which is very rare for them to do at this time of year. That is a full frame of honey, so that is an amazing frame of honey. The queen will always try to stay as high as possible in the hive. That's another frame of honey. The reason for that is that it's usually warmer, so it means that the brood that she produces will need less effort to be kept warm. Oh, bugger you off. You are... This is also honey frame. That's a pretty decent amount of honey. Jeez. Yeah, so that's all honey as well. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 frames of honey on this side so far. What will happen is that the queen will get pushed downwards. So as the honey starts to build up in the box, the bees will start to run out of space and will start to fill the cells that the queen is using for her laying. Found a queen cup. Okay, that's fine. As I said, she's an old girl, so she might have been superseded. I've not been here for 3 weeks, so they could have decided to supersede her a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, and I wouldn't be aware. So I'm not seeing any larvae, and I'm not seeing any eggs. So that to me means that this has got no queen. Now, chances are that they're superseded at this time of year. If that's the case, a queen will have emerged. She will have killed the old queen, or they will have booted the old queen out. I'm going to check this frame before I had a bit of brooding. Yeah. And then the new queen will have potted around, got strong, tested the flight muscles, and then been flying off to get mated. So what I'm going to do is, so I found some older larvae. So the bigger a larvae is, the older it is. So I found some older larvae. So I'm going to show you. So you can see the older larvae dead center there. It's a bit dark, sorry. So that means that it's been just about a week since they were an egg. Oh, we've got eggs on this frame. Okay, good. Got loads of eggs. So does that mean the queen's on this frame? So what might have happened is that she might have had a brood break. This is what they do sometimes just before it comes to winter. It means that they give themselves a bit of a rest, build themselves up, change things around inside the bodies, possibly, and get ready. So I've got eggs, and this whole frame, this whole side is full of eggs. This whole side here, full of eggs. So, and they are all pointing upwards, so it means that the queen was on here today. Seeing if she's on this frame. Yes, she is. So the queen is here on this frame, right here. Right here. Can't see her? I'll bring her closer and hopefully she won't fall into the grass. There she is. See her walking about? So that's the old queen. She's marked, so it's definitely not a supersedure. So yeah, she's probably just had a bit of a brood break. That's fine, they're allowed to do that. But she's got back to laying now, and that whole frame is absolutely full of eggs. So that's good. I'm glad. Really glad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this box off. Come on, watch out. This needs to go over here. So the queen's in the second box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this down. The benefit of doing this during a brood break as well is that all of the mites are phoretic. So it means that they're all on the backs of the bees rather than in the cells. So it means that they will get a decent burst of this formic acid, which means that the more than likely it's going to be really effective on this colony compared to the others. So here we go, last one, and then I'm going to pick up my daughter. Oops. Oh, Formic Pro, man. When you're using Formic Pro, always make sure you're wearing gloves. I recently watched a beekeeper using his bare hands to put it on, and it made me cringe. So I feel like I need to tell you to always wear gloves when dealing with harsh chemicals like that, especially acids. Oh. Oh. Right. Close that lid. That. And then close this lid here. Perfect. So that's this apiary done. Nice and easy. Everyone's got queens. Everyone's looking healthy. I'll take that block out. Where's me? What's that? Pocket. Take the entrance block out. I'll stick that in the lid so I don't lose it. So yeah, that's good. Always try and keep your apiary tidy, especially if it's an out apiary, because it's not your land, and last thing you want to do is leave a messy place for someone else to look at. Okay. Ooh, right, so that's cool. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, then hit the subscribe button. I've got a massive catalogue now. Say massive, like 50 videos. It's not much. But I've got a catalogue now that you can go through of my weekly vlogs and how-to tips as well. I've got 2 Facebook groups. So I've got Merseyside Beekeepers, if you can affect a Scouse accent. Don't have to be from Merseyside if you don't want to be. It's just a way of people local being together. If you want to join another group of mine, it's called Nonsensical Beekeeping. It was made as a joke and it's starting to take off, surprisingly. Anyway, I hope you have an amazing day and hope to see you very soon. Bye bye.